All right. This is the first live stream I'm doing on this channel, and this is also a test. So if you're watching, please let me know if something is not working. This is the first time I'm doing this. I had to convert my gaming setup to make it more video focused like this, and we're gonna do some changes and I guess work on how to also implement a second angle, because I want to figure out how can I use my FX6 also. So I'm David and I'm a videographer, and if you subscribed or whatever, you kind of already saw what I do. And I want to do a little bit more YouTube videos, but in a streaming format. So I'm trying and testing this out. And I redesigned most of my gaming streaming setup that I've been using since about 2020. And I made it so it's more focused on just video production and stuff. So this is the first test where I'm doing this live. And my setup is a pretty typical 2PC gaming stream setup that you would see on Twitch streamers. I have a main computer that is basically like for gaming, and I have a second computer that is dedicated to streaming, and it's always been dedicated to streaming. So I've already had this set up for years. I just never used it for this purpose, and I really don't know why. So here's the deal. I have my FX3 right here. It is in a teleprompter. This is how I take video calls. So if I talk to clients and I have meetings about projects, this is where I look, and I can see them right here because it's basically a monitor, right? Now in streaming, I use this as a projector from OBS. So I see the actual scene that goes out to you guys, which I think is a big help because I don't have to look away as much. And I can switch this by swapping the USB channels, because this is a USB monitor essentially from Elgato. So I swap it sometimes to be a monitor for my gaming PC where I do the video calls, and in streaming it's switched to OBS, so it's a projector. And all it takes is one USB. I'm gonna swap it. One USB cable plug. Now, this computer that's doing the stream, I'm going to do something real quick. Yes, so that froze a little bit, so there might be a little bit of a jump or something. But it looks like I have 5 people in the chat. So if you're here, say something. Tell me if you can hear me, or tell me if you want the music killed. Like, is this working? That's my main question. And the chat should show up, like, wait, right there, if everything's working. If not, then I need to know that. And I'm playing music from a free playlist on Spotify that I've used before. So, and I'm happy to kill this, and I will kill it as soon as I start going into, let's say, CINEGEAR, and then before we go to do the first FX6 test. But just for the intro, I felt like playing music is okay, maybe a little bit lower. So it's 1 p.m. where I'm at, East Coast, and I'm gonna go through CINEGEAR 2025, which was yesterday and Friday. I've only attended Saturday. And then we're gonna move over to do a setup, I guess, improvement on this streaming setup, because while this was my gaming streaming setup originally, up here, basically, wait, right there, is the screen on my PC that is currently blurred. And I can also just completely hide it. and show the secondary capture card. That's what we're going to change later today, because I do have a new capture card. I'm mostly using Elgato stuff in this setup, as pretty much everybody else. I started with the OG HD60, and then I still have Camlink, not the 4K version, but the OG version, that it looks the same. It's just non 4K. And that one is actually plugged into the streaming computer. So the camera that's being used by OBS is that old one. And I have two of these newer 4K versions. That one is in my other PC right here that I use for video calls. And then I have just this one for travel. But because the FX6 has SDI, I was looking for a capture card that could do SDI or both. And that's how we're going to do this. Because what I want to do with this stream going forward is, if I want to do some demonstration, talk about some gear stuff or whatever, I want to be able to stand up from this desk. I don't want to sit here always. I don't like it. So I want to set up the FX6 as a mobile camera and use the mobile camera in the same scenes where I can change out what you guys see basically in these boxes to go to the FX6. And I already have some scenes. For example, this is my main talk scene, but there's a lobby scene which basically switches to the secondary camera, which we'll implement later on. That's why you only see color bars right now. And I actually have an even more complex idea in my head, that I want to add a switcher to this input to be used instead of a single capture card, so I can hook up multiple things and switch inside of that. So keep this camera angle, but the other one can be whatever. So I can do direct full screen. Like, this is also cool. This one also includes chat and alerts and everything like that. And then there's camera B that doesn't do anything right now because it's not plugged in. And obviously the standard, I guess, the gaming scenes that are normally used. So let me go back to this screen. So this is working. There's music. I'm probably going to increase that a little bit. Now, let's see. Here's what I want to do. I want to pull down the music and see what's going on. Let's see. So let me just talk about CINEGEAR 2025. And what I'm going to show here is one of the suppliers. If I can, let me check one more thing, because I think that there is an issue with my multiple displays. So CINEGEAR 2025 is, hold on, there's something wrong. Okay, yeah, so that was a glitch. Okay, so I can finally unblur that. So I went to CINEGEAR 2025 again. I did attend in 2024 as well. And overall, I did like it. I only attended the Saturday. I think I did the same thing last year as well. I've never attended both days. I did want to go on Friday because they had some networking events, but it just didn't work out that way where I could make that happen. So I only did Saturday. And here is the program. So CINEGEAR News, CINEGEAR 2025. So there are a lot of sponsors on this event that come and display their gear. You can also read on like how this thing was basically created. And the program, when I saw the program, I immediately noticed that how smaller this is compared to 2024. So when I did the 2024, the same stages were used for this at Trillit, 21, 22, and 23. And since then, 22 basically became their LED wall stage. So that's what it's called, the Lux at Trillit. They have a volumetric wall there now, which was pretty cool. We could actually go in and look at it and play with it a little bit. But even stage 21, which was fully packed in 2024, this year was almost half empty. There was tons of spaces that were just basically like just sit down areas and lounges instead of actually having exhibitors. And none of the big name brands actually came, which was the most surprising of all. So there was no Sony, no Nikon or Red, no Ori or anything like that. The only brand that actually showed up with cameras was Canon. That was the only vendor that was there. And all the other exhibitors, the big ones that I kind of know about or have had a somewhat of a relationship with, was Astera with their lights, Avenger with stands and whatnot, obviously Canon, Anton Bauer was there, but because they are owned by basically the same company as like Manfrotto and stuff, that's one stand. So they don't really have, you know, anything crazy. So Georgia Film Academy was there. I do have one lanyard from them. You get a bunch of stuff like this. Godox was there. Godox had the exact same display as last year. So I don't really follow Godox, so I don't really know if they even have newer products or not. But they had the exact same stuff as last year. So that was not really that interesting to me. Grip Center Atlanta was there. That was one of the biggest sponsors, and I don't think they were there last year, or at least I don't remember. They did a bunch of giveaways and raffles. So a little bit more about that later. But if I want to switch to this is their website, Grip Center Atlanta. They did a big show and they had like raffles and you can donate, and we all donated, all three of us who were there together, and we actually all three of us did win on the raffle. Smaller and bigger stuff. Like they did have a pretty cool, raffle situation going. So GVM was also there, which Osiris was kind of interested or talked to them. I'm not super interested. I'm so invested in the aperture, like light system with the Sidus Link, that I just don't really like. Even if they have cool lights, like, okay, it's cool. I get it. But if it's not controllable with the same way, like I'm not super interested at all. Holy Land was also there. So Holy Land I was definitely interested in because I need headsets. I need Holy Land headsets. I used to work for a studio that had the C1 Pros, and they were great. I borrow headsets when I need them. And I saw the new SEs and the SE Pros. Now, the SE is definitely not something I would buy because it's the 2.4 gigahertz. But the guy kind of talked me through the stuff on the tech behind it. And the Pros are using the same tech as the C1 Pros. Where they're basically on the 1.9 gigahertz frequency range, which is the DCT. The Sennheiser AVX microphone used that, if you used that before. So that system I am interested in because it's significantly cheaper than the C1 Pros. Now, the C1 Pros can be extended with the base station and can do 2 groups and stuff like that, which I'm totally not interested in. I just want 5 headsets. 4 would probably be enough, but maybe I want 5. So the SE Pros I did test. I liked it, and it basically cost the half price of a C1 Pro, because you can get the C1 Pros are $12.99 for a pack of 4, and the SE Pros are $650 or $679 for the same 4-pack. So I'm thinking about getting a 5-pack for $850 basically. So yeah, the local 479, the local 600 was there. There were some companies that do some type of lighting and broadcasting events, but they're not like actual manufacturers. Light Panels, Manfrotto was there, Newer was there with a pretty big booth. Production Hub was listed here, but I haven't seen them, because I was gonna actually ask them some stuff and maybe sign up, but I never ended up actually running into them or see them, so I don't know what happened. Sigma was there with their new Cine autofocus lens. I think it was a 28 to 45. And the guy said that the 28 to 105 is also coming at T3, and this was a T2. That was interesting because it is a Cine housed lens, but it has autofocus, and it is Sony E-mount, so it should work pretty well on an FX6 or an FX3. But you can also swap it to manual, and then like you can use gears like how you would normally use it. So that was kind of interesting. We did check out Teradek and Small HD. Their stuff is extremely expensive. It is cool to have like a full working video village and everything, but you know, it would cost me $20,000 to get enough monitors and transmitters and everything to build like a director's monitor and all that together with their new Bolt system. So that's definitely not a viable solution. I talked to the Holy Land guys about the Pyro system, which was cool. And I'm interested in that. But I still don't know which configuration that I should be looking at, as far as like, hey, like, do I need monitors on each camera, and then do I need a wireless monitor for like the director's monitor, or like do I want a transmitter to do like maybe hook it up to this live stream to be able to like move my FX6 with no cables, so no HDMI, no SDI running to a capture card or anything like that. Like, what would that be like? Like, that sounds pretty cool as well. Like, if I could just basically do a receiver that's like plugged in all the time, and every time I turn the camera on, which has the monitor on it, basically, right, I could like use that as a transmission to the streaming setup. But then also, I would love to have a second monitor that I can see myself, as far as like, if I show you something, what does that look like? So yeah, and Wooden Camera was there because they are also owned by basically the same company who owns Small HD or Teradek. Videndum Media is what they're called. So CINEGEAR was significantly smaller. The panels were good though. I did attend 2 panels. The first one on Saturday at 11 was it was about unscripted. Yes, so unscripted productions, union and non-union. That was pretty cool. And then we did attend the ASC cinematographer dialogue panel, where they had a bunch of people talking about like actual movie stuff and cinematography and whatnot. That was cool. And that was cool last year. It was mostly the same people. So it's not something, you know, like a lot of the stuff that they were talking about, we already kind of heard. So yes, that did work. And I liked it. And we all won at the end. So I think, if I remember correctly, Osiris won some clamps and some earpiece, like headset pieces for like radios. Like, if you, not the Holy Land radios, but if you use like one of those walkie-talkies that come with the headset that like looks like the FBI headsets from movies, right? I think he won 2 of those. I actually got one as well. So I think this is what he's gonna get. He didn't actually get it because they got stuck at customs. So I'm trying to hold. Yeah. So this is a headset that you can put on like one of those radios, but this one is um, like the cable itself is like fabric covered, has a design and everything from onset headsets. So this is, I think, what he's gonna get. I got one because they had one left over. Um, there's more lanyards, obviously, from all the brands like Newer and stuff. And they handed out magazines as well, which I thought was cool because the ASC people were talking about the American Cinematographer, and it's still a magazine that gets printed. This is the October 25 issue, and it's still actually surprisingly thick. And they have sponsors like Kodak, and obviously it's full of also like advertisement because the first page is literally the new Fujifilm camera, the Eterna 55. I think it's $15,000. So that's literally the first two-page. But there are articles in here that they always talk about like actual cinematography. So they always bring this up that like, hey, like sign up for this thing because this is one of the last like magazines that are actually getting printed. And there are some actual camera breakdowns in here. So like this is from a movie shoot with an Alexa 35. And they actually give you like settings and frame guides and everything to look through. Like, hey, like this is how we did it. So I was like, okay, this is actually kind of cool because you don't really see stuff like this anymore. So I have that. There's the ICG magazine, the International Cinematographers Guild. Now they do actually have the same picture. So this was kind of weird. So the front page of the American Cinematographer is the same as the back page of the ICG magazine. The ICG magazine, though, on the front has the F1 movie. So, and I am an F1 fan. We just watched the Singapore GP, so I was like, okay, I'll definitely take this. This is like, it's gonna be good for the coffee table. There's tons of sponsors in this as well. And this one also has gear reviews, but it also has like articles and stuff and pictures of how they shot the F1 movie with those modified FX6s. Because they are, so like this camera right here is like a super heavily modified rehoused FX6 sensor that's also on the helmet. Like they made some crazy stuff with that. And I like that. So I was like, okay, let me take this. And then they also had the Film and Digital Times. This is September issue. It's kind of the same thing. They're talking about, this one has also articles about the F1 movie with like actual, like showing you what the camera sensor is. So I thought this was cool. And then what did we win? Okay, so Osiris won the headsets I talked about, and then the other person won some like Cardellini light clamps. I'm not sure exactly what they are, to be honest, but they were pretty expensive, and there were some big prizes. Some people won like $3,000 camera cards and lights, and like they got some big stuff. So obviously we didn't win any of the big one, but I won this set from Grip Center Atlanta, so I'm pretty sure they sponsored this, right? So this is a canvas bag, and they called it a camera marker bag, and it was full of marks, eye marks, T marks. I thought there were L marks in there. They're different colors, right? So these, I would have called them talent marks, to be honest. See, there's 3, 4, 5. Okay, so wait, is this 6 or 7? Holy cow. Okay, I didn't even take these out yet. So there is 4 T marks in here in different colors, and 3 eye marks. I think so. Yeah, because they just included some notepads and whatnot. that have their branding on it. So yeah, so there's 4, and yeah, so I think I'm using the Eastman LUT from Phantom LUTs in the camera, which makes it, these colors are a little bit different than in real life. Like this one is red. On my monitor, it's orange. So that is the LUT. I just like that LUT, and this is not like this doesn't have to be accurate. And there's also these eye marks. So that's a nice kit. And then I also got just a bag. It's a larger bag, and I got it from the guy who makes these actually at Grip Center Atlanta. That he basically, like, he made this to fit into like milk crates and stuff. So you can fill it up with like whatever, gaff tape, like clamps, whatever. But it has Velcro on top, so nothing falls out when it's closed. It's canvas, it's heavy. You can put your name in the front. Kind of like the small one. Like, I like that. So this was CINEGEAR 2025. I definitely don't regret going. Like, you know, you can meet some cool people. You see some cool stuff. If you're gear oriented, if you want to just talk to other cinematographers that are doing the panels, they're pretty approachable. You can talk to them after the fact. We saw them just hanging out in the main area with everybody else. So I liked it. And hopefully we'll get to go to the other one, the next one, or maybe even the one in LA or New York if we happen to fly down there. I think one is in March and the other one is in June in 2026. So let's hope for that, because I kind of want to see what it looks like in one of the bigger hubs compared to Atlanta. So this was my quick recap of CINEGEAR 2025. And now we're going to move over to testing the FX6 in this streaming setup. So as I mentioned earlier, I was looking for a capture card to, let me go, do I want to go full screen? Yeah, it might be easier to see that. So I was looking for a capture card for my FX6 that can do SDI or HDMI at the same time. And surprisingly, it's pretty hard to find something like that. You can either do either or there is some outdated ones from like AJA and Magval, I think, that are not even USB-C. They still use like the old USB 3 like B plugs. Everybody says they work really good though, but they're really expensive, like up to like $500, and they don't have USB-C. So the only other one I found was this capture card from AV Matrix, and hopefully the camera will focus. Yes. So this is the AV Matrix UC2018. So it's the UC2018. And this capture card is both SDI on here and HDMI. So compared to a Camlink, it is obviously way, way bigger. So, I mean, it's not massive or anything, because it actually does way more than the Camlink does. So demonstrating this, if you look at this side, this is where the HDMIs are, right there. So this one does SDI in or HDMI in, and I think the priority is on the HDMI. So if you have an SDI cable plugged in and you plug in an HDMI after that has signal, it will switch over to that. There's no like physical button to decide. This is just a software thing. The only other thing that this one does that the Camlink doesn't do is that it has a 3.5mm jack for audio in, which does override audio coming in from either of these ports. So as soon as you plug something in, it's gonna be that audio source forced into the capture. So if you basically plug in a cable but there's no signal, it's like a mute switch. Like it mutes whatever audio is coming from the cameras. If you unplug it, you get the audio coming from SDI or HDMI. And the reason why I got this is because I want something that I can use with OBS like this with my FX6, but in a way where I don't lose either of the camera ports. So if I want to put a monitor on it and I run HDMI to that monitor, I want to be able to run the SDI. And the other thing is I have a couple of conference jobs coming up that require a super long run of camera to basically the laptop streaming. It could be 50 to 100 feet, depending on the size of a conference center. And I really didn't want to run funky HDMI. And I mean, funky HDMI is something for me that like those fiber ones or the ones that are directional with the little like amplifier in the middle. I never had a really good experience with it. So I want to run SDI from the FX6 to my computer when I have to capture. So I bought this, and now that I have it, my idea is to use this as a B camera. So I set up a bunch of scenes in OBS for the 2-cam setup. And the way I actually did it is when I'm on this scene and you see my main monitor, I can blur the monitor if I don't want you guys to see it just yet, but I can also completely hide it. And when it's hidden, it shows the secondary capture card, which is this. It's just because I unplugged it, it's basically frozen on the color bars, which is one of the things I like about this, and I also don't like about it, because the way they implemented it is not the best. So when you plug this in, it will show signal, unlike the Elgatos. The Elgatos don't show any signal. They just sit there. This one outputs a 1080 signal of color bars, but the color bars are flashing, and the flashing is annoying. What they should have done is they should have alternated between a color bar and the color bar that says no signal in the middle. Kind of like how TV stations have their like SMTP like color chart or color bar that says like their name in the middle and the circle in black. They should have done that and just alternate between the clean and the one that says no signal in the middle. Because what they do now is they alternate between the color bars and the dimmed color bar. So it's basically flashing, but you can't really judge your levels, your video levels or anything like that. So I'm not a fan. And you'll see this as soon as I plug this in. And so what I want to do is I want to be able to stream with this setup, but standing up and doing it, let's say, on the production card. And what I want to do is I want to grab the FX6, move that over. Now, the only other thing I had to figure out with this is how do I move from this microphone away? So I had to basically modify my streaming setup a little bit to add a wireless microphone. And I obviously could route that through the camera and everything. It would go directly into OBS. But then none of my Go XLR controls would work. So my only other option is to do it with Go XLR, but then I only have Rode Wireless Go's. So I'm going to use the Rode Wireless Go's, but in a way where I plug it into the mic input on the Go XLR, but I have to switch it in the software to go from the XLR to that to pick up sound from it. But then everything like gate, compressor, de-esser, all those work. Because if I just go through straight to camera and capture card it, which I could do easily, then none of those processings are happening unless I put effects and plugins and stuff on OBS. But then every control and stuff, I have to like click, use a mouse or a Stream Deck or whatever. And I'm not a fan of that. I like to keep my setup as streamlined as possible. So back to the capture card. Here is the capture card. And I'm going to grab the camera. We're going to turn it on, plug it up, and see what it looks like. And I did a few tests with this, but not a lot. That's how I know that the override happens when you plug something in. You only get one cable in the box, and it is a USB A to C cable. So it's kind of the old school. Like you don't get a C to C cable for this. This is not Thunderbolt, unlike the Blackmagic capture cards or whatever. So you can run this on basically any computer that has a USB 3 port. And that's why I actually tested it first, because I have a 2016 old Windows laptop that is, I mean, 2016 was almost 10 years ago. It has USB-C, but it also has USB 3 old school A port. And so I was able to plug in this with the cable that it came with to do a test in OBS. It's just a clean install. And it did work. So I liked it. I was like, okay, if a computer from 10 years ago, I think it has a 3rd gen or a 4th gen i7 in it, can do it, I'll be fine. The only thing I'm going to add to this, basically this box to carry this, is I just added a C-to-C cable so I can easily plug it into my MacBook or, you know, any modern computer. So I've got that, and I've got the original cable, which we're not actually going to use today because my streaming PC, I've already dedicated a cable that is a USB 3 to C cable. All right, so that just crashed, no problem. I'm gonna put it back. Yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure why that's happening, but it does happen. So I have to deal with it. Basically what happens is my secondary monitor kind of disconnects for a little bit, and then when it comes back, the projector jumps off. So I have to turn the projector on again in OBS for it to be showing up. So let me plug this in and let's do the test. So I'm going to plug in this AV matrix to my OBS computer, and then I'm going to grab my FX6. We're going to plug it up and then point it to something. And I want to see if I can do what I was planning to do. Now, before that, I'm going to switch the microphones out to the Rode Wireless Go, which will be a slightly worse audio quality than what I'm using here now, obviously. So let me see. For that to happen, I have to go and swap out the microphone input. In. And for right now, I'm not a fan of the way like this to just have it clipped like that. I have a lav that I prepared. I just didn't put it on yet. But for right now, we're going to do this the ugly way. So let me switch the microphones. All right. So I switched the microphone. And obviously this is way more echoey and everything. And I can take the headset off. So hopefully it still sounds okay. And I know the stream is a little bit backed up, so I can't even like hear it on my iPad just yet because of how backed up the stream is. And so let me see, I'm gonna do this. And I know the stream is a little bit backed up, so I can't even like hear it on. Okay, so this actually works. So let me plug this in and let's start the testing purposes, because here's what I want to do. I want to hook up an FX6 to my streaming computer, which is on this side. That's what I'm looking at. You just can't see the monitor. And then test it out. So I already have this USB-C cable sitting, because for right now, this is not a permanent setup. This is a testing setup. And for this demonstration, I'm going to raise the table up so I can move around freely. This is a standing desk. As you can see, it's coming up. You can probably even maybe hear it. Let's see if the camera grips focus on me. Okay, so here's what we're dealing with. I've got the capture card here. I want to move some of this stuff away. so here is my FX6, and I grabbed one of the big batteries for this testing scenario. For right now, what I'm going to do is basically I'm just going to set it up on the table. I'm going to take this off. We don't need it. And plug up. So I have the 2470 on this. And we're going to put it on a tripod as well, because I want to see what I can do if I put it on a tripod and I want to use my production cart that's parked in the corner as like my work desk, basically. So the FX6 here is ready. The only other thing I need is either an HDMI cable or an SDI cable. All right, so I got both. So I've got both. I've got an HDMI and I've got an SDI. So we're going to test the SDI first after turning the camera on. So I don't know if this is okay to just do it on the table, or should I just put it on the, oh, APR. Light detected, yes. It wants to do an APR. So I have to keep the lens cap on. Okay, very good. So let's open this up because it says F18. That's not good. So we've got the capture card going. We're gonna lock in the SDI. And if I go straight into it, then if I look at my capture card and activate it, yeah, so it is working and picking up. Obviously, this is the stream setup right here. So this is the streaming PC that's running OBS. That's technically the gaming PC or my main PC. And then we've got the FX3 with a small HD monitor right there. That's the teleprompter. It's currently not showing anything. And then I'm just checking the stream for chat and stuff like that over there. And I have a old Amaran 100X first gen light up there for giving me exposure. So right now the FX6 is being captured by, okay, there's not really a lot of delay. I kind of like that. So yeah, all the settings are the same. So the capture card is working. And this does 1080-60 max. So my cameras are running in 2997. The stream is running in 60 though. Like I could switch them to 60. It would be a little bit of require more light on the exposure, but I think 30 is all right for just the video part, because the capture from the computers and stuff is always 60. So here are the scenes that I set up to test this out. So I have this one, which is the talk scene. And then I can go switch to the lobby scene, which is essentially the same. It's just flipped to the opposite end. So you see the secondary camera as the main angle, and my camera is a small angle. I can also go full screen with either one of them. So I can go full screen with this. I can also go full screen with just the FX6 that is capturing me or whatever I pointed at. And that is my goal. My goal with this is to be able to set this up. And let's say I'm gonna put it on a tripod right here and set it up at the living room, where I can maybe set up a light on the production cart and do some demonstrations for, let's say, my audio setup, which is a video I'm planning to do. My complete breakdown of like all my audio packages as a freelancer. So I want to do that. I want to do a full breakdown of that. And if you noticed on this one, you may have noticed, the text is backwards because this is actually a mirrored image on different scenes. So because on a scene like this, if my image is on this corner up here, I want to look into the frame like this way, not out the frame like this, because it would look weird. So I had to flip it in certain camera angles. Not every camera angle, because like this one, when it's full and it's irrelevant of where I look, because I'm just looking at the camera, you can see that this is actually correct. But on camera angles like this, it's backwards. And it's backwards here because I want to be able to look towards the chat and stuff like that. And obviously this is not mirrored because it is just works as it is. So I kind of like how this is working with the road. I thought this is going to be much harder to pull off, to be able to move around and basically stream without having to be tied towards this mic. So this I can basically roll and get out of the frame because it's not needed. And while we're on this wide frame, I can grab the camera and put it on tripod and actually lock it down. Now this configuration is very back heavy because this SmallRig 212 is an extremely heavy battery. So it's a little bit harder to balance out. You have to push the camera a little bit more further up to the front. It is possible, but it's just a little bit more involved. And so, okay, so it is balanced on the Flowtech right now. And my idea with what I want to achieve with this setup is to be able to do streams that don't require me sitting at the table the whole time. So I want to be able to have this set up. Maybe if I plug in this light to turn on my 400, yeah. I mean, it does have the grid, so that's why it makes the effect is not as crazy as you would think. But I also have the ability to just walk over here, grab my cart. Oh, that was louder than expected. Bring it here, figure out a good angle, potentially, probably, I have to probably raise this up way higher to be almost like a top-down angle to do it on the production cart like this. And maybe, okay, so this is 24 mil. So if I go back to that scene, this is what it looks like. And I actually do have a chance to make this work if I switch my FX6 monitor and I just have to flip it upside down to be able to come to this side. I mean, it is cutting my head off. So I have to basically just rotate this a little bit. And I can take my camera bag off because we currently don't need it. But I could do a demonstration right here, behind the cart even, because this looks pretty good as far as, I think it is cutting off my head a little bit still, but it isn't as bad as I thought it would be. And I can technically still move this a little bit further back. This is already a 24 millimeter, so I don't have a lot of wiggle room. I physically have to move the camera back. But I do like the fact that now I have two angles. And if I have to do something that it requires me to show something on that side, I can also do that. So this setup is actually functioning way better than I expected for a first test. I expected a lot of stuff to go bad, not just, you know, some of the capture cards and microphone issues that I had earlier, but now if I turned the lights, because it wasn't even pointing at me, I might be, yes, I'm very overexposed. So I can either turn the light down, or I can just drop my exposure to like f4 and see what that looks like. I'm still overexposed. So what zebras am I on? 61. Okay, so let's do F5. Let's do F5. So this side, my exposure is actually correct. So this might be a 5.6 shot. Yes. So let's do 5.6. So this is what it would look like if I would do a demonstration right here. So what I'm trying to figure out is how would I do a video about my audio setup with this? Obviously, I would switch to the full screen, which is something I cannot do remotely. I have to run and come over here. So I have to switch to this. And if I want to come a little bit further back, I have to actually do this and rotate. This is not bad. This is not a bad setup. And it's pretty dark outside. It's pretty like cloudy. If I'm here, I'm not cutting my head off. That's good. The cart is in the shot except this front corner. So like an angle like this could work. I'm totally fine with this. I could also probably position this over there and have the camera on that side and look this way, but then I would be extremely backlit. So I don't know if I should be somewhat utilizing the utilizing my natural light coming in, or just focus on solely using my own lights. So, because this thing is currently lighting me from very one side, very much only the left side. If I run it and do it more from camera, then I will have more exposure and I might actually be overexposed a little bit. It is hard to judge it from that angle. So F6, let's do F6.3 and see what that looks like. I'll probably have to set up like a color chart to see. Or actually, I do have a light meter. I always forget that I have an old school Sekonic light meter. But for this exact reason, this is exactly what it would do. So I'm shooting, let's say, ISO 800 at 30 FPS. So if I do a measurement on my face, it says I should be at F8 to be 0. So F6.3 is back here. So yes, so if I'm here, then I'm a little bit probably overexposed in this shot, but this is still like not bad as far as output. I'm just brighter than it should be. But I like it, and it is working. And as far as I can tell, nothing crashed on the stream. There's no lag. So I'm looking at my OBS thing, and it's pretty instantaneous. So I want to say that this is a successful test with the new capture card. And this is running SDI. So I could run 50 feet, 100 feet, and have 0 issues. So I think this is great. This capture card is great for exactly what I needed it to be just a little bit better than a Camlink. And it also gives me audio input. And the price was not significantly worse. I think they list this at $299, or like normal price on B&H, but on Amazon, it was on sale for $199, and my business account got it for like $169, if I'm not mistaken. I think I paid $170 plus tax on it. So for that price, it's pretty competitive to a Camlink, even though I know that the Camlink can technically capture, I believe, 4K 30, or at least it can detect 4K 30 signals that gives you a 1080 output. This one is 1080 only. So you just got to set your cameras to 1080, which is perfectly fine with me. I think what I'm doing is always outputting 1080 on the FX6 and the FX3 anyway, like with the LUT applied already. So this one Oh, this is Phantom Lens neutral on the FX6. And I should be able to change that. If I go to Sony 709, it's going to be a tiny bit brighter. And one of my favorite LUTs that is like an actual look is the Eastman RM, which probably doesn't change too much on the situation here, but it has a little bit of a different skin tone, and like some of the greens and oranges are different. There's not a lot of color behind me, so you probably can't see that. I don't know if I increase this, does it show up a little bit more? But for consistency purposes, I pretty much only shoot for like accuracy, the standard Sony S709, and that should be the setting on the FX3 as well, which I can't really see, but I can check. Yes. So we are on S709 on both. So this setup and the FX6 setup behind me is the same. I did notice one issue, and I'm not sure if I can show you guys that, but I did notice that the thumbnail I created is overlapping with the live logo on YouTube. So YouTube puts a big red live thing on the bottom right, and that's kind of where I put my live button as well, which now is overlapped. So I don't like it. But at least, you know, I learned something. I can figure it out for the next one. I think the next live stream, my actual official one, is going to be a live stream about my complete audio setup, which I demonstrate live to go through all the different combinations of audio that I do. And hopefully we'll get people in the chat. So, because I could just stream like this with no chat or anything. So if there's no chat action, I probably just go this way. If I want to show the FX6, I can switch to the FX6 pretty easily. So the one thing I'm not a fan of is sometimes the USB disconnects on the Elgato, and I'm having a trouble getting a signal to see the projector from OBS. It does work, it's just it randomly disconnects after a couple seconds, and so I don't know if it's a problem with the USB cable. Let me see. So if I turn on the projector, it does kind of drop OBS completely out of whack for a couple seconds. So yeah, so it does. Okay, is it back? Okay, so no drop frames. So it skips frames due to rendering lag or encoding lag. Then I have to like plug something in. But normally that doesn't happen if I'm just like live. It is fine. So this is a live streaming setup that I want to use to do product or gear demonstration, gear talk. And when I do maintenance and setups of items and whatnot, that's what I'm gonna do this with. And I may not even do this live, but I record it with OBS, and I can basically just edit it and like resolve after the fact. So I want to say that this is successful. The only one thing I kind of wish is to be able to do this, to put my FX6 on wireless. So the camera that is obviously the FX6 currently cabled, I really want this to be a wireless setup, so I can just grab that camera, set it anywhere, and it still comes into OBS, and I can just switch to it the same way. So like even these scenes will just work, where I have like me and my FX6, like the I guess, the demonstration station area, but without the SDI cable or the HDMI cable plugged in, because that is pretty limited. I mean, you can also cause some damage and stuff. You got to be very careful. But if it was on, like, let's say, like a Holy Land Pyro system, where I would have a transmitter on the camera, or it could be one of their monitors, to be honest. It could be one of their monitors as transmitters on the camera, and then having a receiver just dedicated for this computer. The receiver would always get the feed in, kind of like my capture card, because those also act as UVC devices, so you can use them as webcams. And it's just basically a video input device, but it could be permanent on the desk. And then the FX6 would always be a portable rowing camera that you can just bring anywhere. As long as there's enough reach with the signal, I can set up a live stream anywhere. So I think that would be the best scenario, like as far as how to set up the second angle for live streaming here. And if I want to demonstrate something on this table that you can't see through this camera, and it's also kind of hard sometimes to like lift something up and focus, because the face detection is so good that it always picks you up and it's messing up, and you have to like cover your face completely. Like I have to cover my face to then like hold something up and hope. Yeah, so it did grab focus on it, right? But only because I covered my face. And if I show my face, it doesn't matter how long I hold this up. It will never focus on it. Like I have to completely block my face again to get focus. But then as soon as I do it, it will go back. Not that this is a problem, obviously. Like we love the good autofocus of the FX3 and FX6 and A7S3 and all of them. We love it. But for demonstrating and talking, it's not great. So the only way that it would work is if I have the second camera, let's say on my left, pointing down here. So if I have something in my hands or whatever, I can demonstrate it, but I can turn off the face detection. There would be no face to focus on. And I could do then demonstrations on here. And that's most of the stuff I want to do with this setup is like technical and just be able to talk to community. So I want to figure out how to build just that kind of community where we can talk in chat about gear and stuff happening in video production and just the industry, to see where everything's headed. And I had this set up for many years, but it was mostly used for gaming. Just pretty much how every Twitch streamer has like a dual PC setup, would be very similar to this, except I never thought about using it for non-gaming content. But then I started seeing people doing laptop repairs, cooking shows, and all that through live that looks like this. And it is basically a gaming setup. They just have more than one camera instead of showing, you know, your computer desktop, which I could also do and will show for some editing BTS and whatnot that I also will do live. But this setup works for this type of live streaming as well, not just gaming. You don't even see my desktop in this situation. I have it turned off. If I want to show it, I can turn it back on, and I do have it like blurred for now. So this is Grip Center Atlanta. They were at CINEGEAR Expo. And I can switch it so it's bigger. I can also go full screen on it. I can also turn myself on in these cameras that are like not taking up that much space. And I feel like I am overexposed a little bit. So let me drop. Yeah. I did change one thing on this setup that I didn't remember well, I guess I remembered, it's just, I wasn't really thinking about it. I boosted this light that's on top of me from 50 to 100%, which is basically one full stop. If we talk about exposure, it's one full stop. And so with my normal exposure, that was f2.8 on, there's something on the teleprompter that's bothering me. So I'm trying to wipe it off with this microfiber. I'm sorry you have to see that. Although, I mean, it is kind of freaky that, like, you see me touch it, but there's nothing there. Like, it's just, I'm just touching the air. So that's actually kind of cool. So let me go back to talk here. So yeah, so I boosted the light here to 100%, which increased my exposure one full stop. So with the FX3, if I stay on the 800 base ISO, it looks a little washed. So I have to do 1, 2, 3 clicks, which basically puts me at 400 EI, CINEGEAR, 400 EI. That's one stop. It wouldn't affect recording, but it does affect the monitoring and the output. So I can even go, so this would be 200 EI, 1, 2, 3, 400 EI, 1, 2, 3, this is base ISO. And if I pull out my phone, I can just dim the light. So Sidus link, let's say, this is an old 100X that I don't use professionally anymore. It's been just here for a long time. And it is set to 5600 Kelvin because I normally shoot with that. So let me dim it. So this is what it looks like if I dim it to 50%. Or 1, 2, 3 and full. 1, 2, 3 and half. 1, 2, 3 and full. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3. It's basically the same. The only thing that's different is because this is lighting me, the exposure in the background changes. So at base ISO, the stuff behind me is brighter. If I go down to 200, 1, 2, 3, this 400, 1, 2, 3. So that change, the only thing that changes is the ambient. So how bright do I want, this is without light. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So how much light do I want in the background? This is obviously not enough, and I won't be able to light this because I'm too dark. 1, 2, 3. If I had a 200X, it would work. So this is at 400, so that's how dark the background is, and I need the light to be at 100% to be able to make this look good. And if I go back to base ISO, 1, 2, 3, I have to go down to half, which gives you the exact same exposure. The only difference, well, at least on my skin, the only difference is the background got brighter. And now it's almost too bright, or as far as like it's more even. This is more even. So if I want a little bit as far like more contrasty, I should do it this way and boost the light to 100%. So I'm exposed correctly, but the background is a stop darker. Basically, it's a stop darker now. If there was any kind of sun out there, then this would also look way worse because the window would be blown out up there and like you wouldn't be able to see the trees and stuff out there right there. So I think this just has to be adjusted as anything else. So let me see if I hide the screen and go back to the FX6. So I'm going to rotate. So yes, I don't know if there's enough range in this. That's my living room, which is not what I wanted to show. But So now we're definitely underexposed. But this camera is at f6.3, so we would need to. So this is f4. And yeah, let's do focus there. The focus did kind of move away. So this is my test setup. Basically, this is an FX3 with the 24mm. This is on my right. Actually, it's kind of weird that I have to point different, like not where it actually is, which kind of screws my brain up. But that's an FX6, and that's the FX6 right there. And here is my 400. This is my Aperture 400 with the light dome, mostly used for interviews. But now if I can put it on, obviously, yeah, this added a lot of light to the table here. So, but at least now you can see the camera a little bit more. I should probably tune it down though, because it's a little too much. And it's a little too big for the living room anyway. So, all right, this has been going on for a little bit over an hour. As a first test, I think this is great because I really just wanted to try out, does this work? Is this working? It is working. Can I switch to second camera? Yes. How about the different like switches of like this and this and this? Or if I want to show my desktop like this, I can do that. I can also add my cameras, right? So these two are only for, depending on what's on the screen, mostly for the gaming stuff. And I also have like standard scenes for like be right back and behind the scenes and whatnot. So, and the screen I can hide with a filter and blur it. So this is working. I like it. If anything was wrong, I really hope that you guys would tell me, like in the chat or something. Like, hey, we can't even hear you and you're just talking. I can see it going out though. Like as far as like OBS, I can see my levels. So I think it's okay. I like it. If anything was wrong, I really hope that you guys would tell me. Yeah, so I'm watching my YouTube so I can see the YouTube chat, and any type of chat would show up here. So I can, let me see, chat test. So those show up. Okay, I don't know why it did it twice. But it should show up on screen, yes. And I just today built commons to do scene switching with comments, so I can do it or mods can do it. So I can scene, so we're in talk. I can basically say, so we can switch to lobby. Now, I don't really know how long it takes, but okay. So it did take a couple seconds, but it does work. And I can do scene game. Hello. Thank you. It is a cool setup. I am testing live on this channel for the first time because I've been streaming for gaming stuff on my other channels. But this is strictly for cameras and gear stuff. So the commons are also, I'm testing commons and stuff to be able to switch if I step away from the computer, let's say, and I'm demonstrating something over there. I don't want to just come here to like push the button to switch cameras, but I could just do, I can, like if I have the stream open on my phone or iPad, I can just type in, let's say scene, and we want to go to talk. So there's a talk scene, which is me big, and then the camera small, and then chat. So let's see. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. It is working. I'm happy that this works. The one thing I do want to change, and I didn't figure out yet, is how to change the title on this page up here, like on top of me right here, with a comment. That one doesn't work. I made the comment, it doesn't work. But the camera switching works, which I'm a huge fan of, finally. It's almost like having a real switcher, which, I mean, I technically do have, like a Blackmagic Design A10 or something like that, except with OBS, you can do way more. It could look cooler, and there's more elements and all the alerts and everything going on. So as far as the test goes, I think I like how this looks. I think I like how the cameras look, how my exposure looks, how much more flexibility do I have with being able to have a secondary camera that is not tied to this table, because I really don't want to sit here. Not that I'm sitting, I raised the table up, I'm standing. And as long as I can get one more USB plugged into the computer, then this is done. I just had to order something from Amazon. And also the biggest change is that I'm using this wireless mic, which I didn't think it's gonna go this good. I can still, like I can put the headphones on and I can hear myself, and it sounds a little echoey, but when I listen to it back on the iPad, yeah, it looks like there is not a ton of like echo that I hear in the headphones in the actual stream. So I think I'm hearing the pre-processed feed, not the one that goes through the Go XLR and everything. So thank you. So I think, yeah, I think that's just introduced somehow through the headset and the wireless. So maybe it's just the wireless delay that screws me up, because it's like you talk, but you hear it a little bit later. Like on a bad Zoom call, when like you speak, but you hear yourself back because somebody's microphone is so crazy. I think it's just coming from that. And so, yes. So this is working. I can also play music in situations like this. And so, yeah, I think this is fine. I think this is very much fine. I did test, oh wait, the one thing I did not test. So this is probably irrelevant for this channel though, but I used to have, yes. So I used to have these heart rate displays that was basically like while gaming, you would see my heart rate go up in like intense situations. That it's probably not relevant for this type of streaming, so I'm not even going to use that. But I just tested it. It does actually work. Replay buffer. I can start the replay buffer. Yeah, this poor computer that's running the stream is like totally maxed out. There is no like it's 99% being used. So even it's like when everything's going. Yes. And I don't know why it shows the message twice. I have no idea. If maybe because like, because this is coming from StreamNinja, but StreamNinja shouldn't be pulling in messages twice. And it's been doing that just today while I was figuring this thing out. It shouldn't. There was some stream delays earlier because I can see it on the iPad that I'm technically live, but it's, wait, 40, 20, it's 20 seconds behind, like actual me, based on that clock. That's why I put the clock up there. So real life, it's 51, 52, 53, 54, but I can see 35, 36, 37 on the stream. So it's technically 20 seconds behind, even though I have no dropped frames and no frame like rendering gap. So I'm pretty sure that's probably because I had a couple like weird disconnects when like the monitor and the projector kind of crashed in OBS. It does do that. Yeah, so I think if I restarted like fresh, it would be fine. Because it's not normal to have, but this is like normal for YouTube because YouTube doesn't like skip when you have internet issues. Twitch does. So if you have these issues, Twitch would like keep up with live. It's just basically would like jump 5 seconds and you just lost 5 seconds. YouTube kind of like buffers and then still plays it back if the data is received later on. But there's no way to like push a button to catch up. You have to kill the stream and start a new one to be at 0. And the more delay you pick up, the more will just drift over time. Twitch is not like that. If Twitch is buffering, you're buffering as in like it freezes and then jumps. But I'm not streaming on Twitch. This is strictly for YouTube for this channel. So I'll figure that out on the next time for sure. Because I want to see, but the stream seems to be stable though. So hour and a half-ish and it's running fine. The double chat thing, I don't understand. Okay, now the double chat thing is not happening. No double chat. Okay, so it randomly fixed itself and I didn't do anything. But it's not doing the double chat anymore. That's why I like StreamNinja, because it actually shows the platform and the little picture of the person. So this yeah, I don't know. It did it before. And I said hello at the beginning just for testing, chat test. It did it. It did it earlier. And then now it's fine. I do want to change that delay though. I'm gonna boost the chat display delay so it doesn't delete the messages as fast unless, you know, I would have a lot of people, but there's not really a lot of people chatting yet. So, but I can change the timing. So like if a chat comes in, it would stay up way longer. So we're gonna do this. So I'm gonna put this up at 1437 and we'll see. I think it goes in milliseconds, which is hard to calculate in my head. So I had it at like 20,000 and instead of 20,000, I just added a 0 to it. So 200,000, whatever that it comes out to in seconds or whatever. But I kind of like it that it would stay on longer. I'm happy that actually this is actually working. This, you know, well. So yeah, this one definitely stays on for way longer. I think it used to be 20 seconds and now it's 200 seconds, which would be 3 minutes. A little bit more than 3 minutes. And I think these, wait a second. So if I go to this, yes, so I still have chat control. It's just sitting on the screen the whole time. And it's on every, like I can, yeah, I think this is all right. This is very much all right. I think it should be on this, yeah. It's just, there's no PC screen. And obviously it's in these. Yeah, I like this plugin. This plugin is actually pretty good. I've used it more so on the gaming side because if you have Twitch and YouTube at the same time, it would actually show like both. Like it would actually show both chats together on this. If I want to see it though, like myself, I have to open both and like have it side by side. But if I'm not, then I can just have it both together on this box. So in the recording, it would be cool. And if I want to have it on the big camera screens, then that's also fine. What's here? Oh, that's just the logo. Okay, I thought something was there. So yeah, and I have a button that I can basically push to turn them off if I don't want to see it on these. You can also turn the alerts off. Okay, this is very much working. And I think this is enough for today as a test. So whoever was here, there were 16 viewers, individual, and 3 concurrent, now it's 4 concurrent. So thank you everyone who checked in and clicked on this, even though it was totally random and not planned all the way through. I like the fact that it's working and I have a way to do more. I just want to make this so easy that it's just turning it on and going and removing post-production because I don't really want to edit. So thank you everyone. And I'll see you guys in the next one. So I'm gonna hit my end screen button here and bye.